Thanks a lot for staying with us here at CNN News 18. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Ridhima Bhatnagar. Things are only getting murkier in the Shraddha murder case. Accused Aaftab continues to change his so-called confession. He's now saying that he'd cut the body of Shraddha into 16 pieces and not 35. He's also told the police that he threw some parts of Shraddha's body in the month of October. A picture of Shraddha from 2020 has also now surfaced, in which injury marks can be seen clearly on her face. Meanwhile, in another twist to this already murky case, Shraddha's doctor has now claimed that she had consulted him on the phone around February 2021 regarding depression, violence and anger management of her live-in boyfriend Aaftab. This as investigative agencies continue to recreate the sequence of events. But with no real evidence at hand, will the police be able to nail Aaftab?
She came to us with a complaint of severe backache and neck pain. She had difficulty in walking and moving her neck. Within 2 to 3 days, she responded well to treatment, and then we discharged her.
So as we said, a lot of unanswered questions. With this changing confession of Aaftab, a lot of things really don't add up. Let me break down some details of what we had heard initially and what we are hearing now. Claim of chopping body to 35 pieces, that is now changed. Initially, it was Aaftab himself who had told police and the investigating officials that after he killed Shraddha, he had chopped her body in 35 different parts. Now he's saying that it was not 35, but in fact it was 16, and he says he then threw them in different parts as far as the Mehrauli forest is concerned. Claims skull intact, but it's actually yet to be recovered. That's why the biggest hurdle for investigating agencies is that what is the real evidence at hand for them to be able to nail Aaftab. Claims some parts dumped in October and not in May. Remember, look at the timeline of the case. We're now understanding the murder happened 6 months ago in May. So what happened over the last 6 months? It's very difficult for the police today to put these sequence of events together because there are no real eyewitnesses, there is no CCTV footage. So they have to get hard evidence if they need to have a case against Aaftab. No trace of the saw or the murder weapon used to chop Shraddha's body. More importantly, the motive of what made Aaftab take such an extreme step. There is no clarity on that as well. So as I said, it's going to become a new headache for the investigating officials and the police officials because Aaftab continues to change his stance. But today what we're going to put out on the broadcast for you is this picture that you see behind me. Now this picture of Shraddha has surfaced from 2020. There are clear injury marks on her face, there are cuts and there are bruises as well. What does this picture tell us? It in fact falls in place with the narrative that we've heard from Shraddha's father and Shraddha's close friends. That Shraddha used to be beaten up, she used to be tortured, there was physical abuse as far as relationship is concerned, so there was a pattern of abuse. We're also now understanding that Shraddha in fact had got in touch with a doctor also at way back in 2020 and she wanted some antidepressants. But the larger question still is, with all these gaps in place, will the police still be able to find enough so that Aaftab's guilt can be proven? I want to bring in our first newsmaker of the evening. We have Dr. Pranav Kabra. He is Shraddha's doctor. He in fact is now joining us on the broadcast. Doctor, we appreciate you taking our time and joining us here on CNN News 18. What you will tell our viewers will become extremely important for us to understand what happened 2 years ago. So let's get the basics first. When did Shraddha get in touch with you and what did she tell you?
She gave me a call, like I want to consult regarding some stressed, like I'm mentally stressed out with my issues and something. So I told definitely, and she wanted some antidepressive pill, which is very common nowadays, to prescribe on the phone through online consultation. I told her, no, that's not possible at all.
Okay, so you told her it's not possible to get these antidepressants because she was doing all of this over a phone call. Did she also speak about either injuries or other ailments that she was suffering? Also, did she tell you why she wanted these antidepressants?
See, basically, as a practicing for so many years, you can understand many patients the name of Shraddha. Why I neglected her? Because the name of Aftab came into the picture. Because she told my partner Aftab also needs some medication. So then I came to know what I understand personally. I may be wrong. She needed medication for him, not for her. What I understand. So she wanted medication on her name so that she can take the medication and give it to him. What I understand. So after that, I told her sincerely that nothing can be done on phone. Online consultation is on during the COVID time, but antidepressant medications or antipsychotic medications is not been prescribed on online at all. It has to be counseled. It has to be guarded. It has to be very well monitored.
True, Doctor, what I'm also essentially trying to understand is in that phone call that she made to you, did she speak about any sort of abuse that she got at the hands of Aaftab, and did she speak about any other ailment of her own?
You understand it's for the 2.5 minute call.
Sure.
That's it. After that, she never turned up to me. I requested her, you better turn up to the hospital. That part because my hospital is very near. I think they stay at Evershan Nagar, my best. So I told them visit to my hospital, but they never turned up. That's a very sad state of affair. If they would have turned up, I think today's scenario must have been different because as a doctor, I would have definitely taken care of the patient and would have consulted them to the psychiatrist and would have been followed with the patient till date. And things would have been not this scenario what we are facing it today. As Shraddha is no more between us. And with the call of 2.5 minutes, it's very difficult to judge because nowadays every person have an issue with the family member, with the relationship, with an internet connection which goes down for a second, people get panic and people get hyper. So judging a person on a 2 minute call is very difficult. And today nowadays argument and some kind of issues are very common between the youngsters nowadays. They don't have that patience to understand the relationship. They don't have the sense of what you say, a very gentle thing to understand how to carry the relationship. Today, patient, the people are very much panic, very much aggressive, very much frustrating in the lifestyle.
What I'm essentially trying to understand, when she calls you and you're saying it wasn't a very long call, and the first thing she asks is for antidepressants. Did she mention what sort of antidepressant she was looking at? And more importantly, did she tell you the exact reason? Was it because of the pandemic? Because you're saying this was a call that happened in 2020.
This is very common, ma'am, nowadays. Antidepressants, sleeping pills are, you will find in every second person की जेब में आपको एक sleeping pill मिल जाएगी. Because रात को they are not able to sleep properly. They are on phone, on mobile, on Facebook, on Instagram, and on whatnot. And they want to have a sleep and morning they have want to get up early, want to achieve something in the life. They don't understand that achieving in life is not easy task, but they want to achieve it very, very smoothly as they get their things in their hand. They don't have to work hard. So here with Shraddha and Aftab, definitely things would have been harder and tough, and they were still living together.
Doctor, what I'm essentially also trying to understand is, was this the first time that Shraddha had gotten in touch with you, or had she gotten in touch with you before as well? And if she had gotten in touch with you before, what are the kind of ailments that she had spoken to you about?
That was only one call with me. Before that, I never knew her. And after that also, there was no touch with me. There was only one call. That's it. And I insisted her, again I'm telling you, I insisted her to visit to the hospital and get the medication or prescription or counseling or consultation for the betterment, but she didn't turn up. That's I think if she would have turned up, things would have definitely different today, because as a doctor and as a doctor fraternity, we do take care of our patients very well. We understand the patient criteria, patient need, when we treat every single patient, what we treat in India, every doctor is concerned about the patient, and we really take care. We do follow with the patients, and we see that they are on medications. This happens only in India. Other countries, they don't, follow up this way.
So when she called you asking for these antidepressants, is that all that she was looking for? Was there a sense of urgency in her tone? What do you remember from that call?
See, that's what she wanted, an antidepressant medication. A sleeping pill is also act as an antidepressant medication. A sleeping pill also acts as an antidepressant medication. There are many other drugs which is prescribed especially by a psychiatrist after being counseling for a long time, understanding the nature, behavior of a particular person individually. So it's a very tough job for a psychiatrist to prescribe medication such kind of patients. So a sleeping pill also acts as an antidepressant and what do you say, a muscle relaxant, for example, also acts as an antidepressant medication where patient feels very relaxed and very, soothing through his mindset. So it acts as an antidepressant medication.
Lastly, doctor, I also want to understand when you told her that these antidepressants can't be given over a phone call, she has to visit you, you have to assist the patient. Did you ever hear back from her?
Basically, why I came into picture, because I never see news. Sorry to say that I am never behind the news part. But when I heard about Shraddha and when I heard about Aftab, the name, then it recollected me that I have spoken to her on a phone call, because she had told me I will come with Aftab. वो नाम मुझे याद था, because it was an like Shraddha and Aftab, like अलग ही name थे. तो उस तरह से Shraddha patient बहुत है. And people are with same Shraddha, many girls are there in this world. But Shraddha Nutula, I've come with Aftab, so that didn't strike me. And so I came into the picture that, yes, I had spoken to her once.
Doctor, we really appreciate you taking our time and joining us here on CNN News 18. It really helps us understand what happened in the last couple of years with both Shraddha as well as Aaftab. We also now want to bring in our other newsmaker for this evening. We have Godwin joining us, and he is Shraddha's friend. Godwin, we appreciate you taking out the time and joining us here on CNN News 18. Could you first begin by telling us and our viewers, how did you know Shraddha? For how long had you known her?
I have known her for almost, say, about less than a year, because the instance started way back in 2020. November, when one fine day I had got a call, and my brother had got a call that one of our office colleague is looking for immediate help, because she used to work for a call center back then, and it seems Aaftab had physically assaulted her and had tried to strangle her, choke her, and she somehow escaped, and she immediately wanted help and she had nowhere to go. So she had immediately called her office for some help. And because it was far off for people to help her immediate basis, so they had tried to get in touch with my brother, because we stay in the same vicinity. And at that same point in time, even I was available at home. So when this horrific incident happened, my brother narrated this to me, and immediately we got in touch with Shraddha and called her home. She immediately came to my house. The first appearance of her, me seeing her face to face, was very bad, because she being a very fair girl, her complex was very fair. So I could literally see bruises on her face. Okay, your blood clotting was there just on her face. And during the conversation, I even got to know that she also has bruises on her lower waist. All right. And after pacifying her, I got to know that she was being physically assaulted. Okay. And this was not the first time that this had taken place. This is the time when she took that courage, and her saturation level had gone to that point that she had to escape somehow. If she wouldn't have escaped, I think the horrific incident that happened in May, which we're talking about right now, this would have happened way back in 2020 itself. So after listening to this, I immediately took her to the nearest police station, which was Tulin's police station, Nalasupara East. We registered the NC, after registering the NC on 23rd November 2020, way back during the duration, say between 3 o'clock till 6 o'clock, we were in the police station only. We came back home and she was as in fear of going back home.
Sure.
So during that course of time, I happened to pacify her. I started talking to her to get to know her because I was just a stranger to her. I didn't knew her personally. She was just trying to seek help, and whatever information I could get from her was the bits and pieces I could have collected and tried to help her.
Godwin, so many crucial facts that you're telling us. You're saying that she had suffered physical torture, physical abuse way back in 2020. And you're saying that if she hadn't escaped that particular day when she met you, probably she would have had the same fate of the news that we are currently seeing. But you're also making another very crucial point that when she reached out to you and other friends, there was also a police complaint that was registered. So wasn't there any action taken at that point of time?
See, I'll tell you what happened that day. Immediately we went to the police station, we registered the NC because even police would want to verify the actual synopsis of what happened, because it was just one-sided of Shraddha narrating a story, right? And because she was the main victim, I was asked to stay aside because I was not part of her relative.
Sure.
So I was told to stay outside when the NC took place. After getting the NC, we had immediately come home. And that same day, I was just talking to her, got to know what she does, how she does it, what is Aaftab into. And I also got to know he was a drug addict. He used to sell drugs for his living. He used to make a lot of money with that. And eventually, next day, she had come home again. I had called her. And we wanted to seek women help because obviously she being a woman, she will not be able to disclose everything.
Sure, understandable.
See, wounds which are external can be shown. Wounds which are internal cannot be told to a stranger, especially to a person who is a male of your same age, right? So we happened to encounter that and we tried to get women help immediately. We took her to one of the centers and we narrated the entire story. And the women's center, in fact, initiated the inquiry immediately and told her, if you want, we will take legal action against Aaftab and we will have him behind bars. Because if you think you are weak enough, we will back you up. If you are saying what happened with you is correct, is the truth.
Sure.
So she said, yes, whatever I am saying is truth, and we will discuss this in detail in the evening. She had to go out again. And in the evening when she came back, during that course, afternoon and evening, I do not know what happened. In the evening, a statement changed and she told us that she wants to take the case back and she doesn't want to take any legal action against Aaftab. I think that time she might have got in touch with Aaftab and Aaftab might have emotionally blackmailed her, because the first day when she had come to my house, Aaftab was calling her back to back, and when we were not taking his call, during that course he was sending her WhatsApp messages and WhatsApp call recording, as in the voice recording, and he was only saying, if you don't come, I'll suicide. And this is one of the bullshit thing that he was doing, and this female was getting carried away. Even though in the situation when she was like in fear, in that pain, she even made me, as a stranger, she made me order food for Aaftab, get it delivered to his house. I personally went to deliver the food, and in that rage of anger, Aaftab just threw the food and told me, who are you to deliver the food? Whoever is concerned for me, tell her to come home.
There's so many factors that you're telling us, Godwin. So you're saying that earlier she was ready to file a complaint, but something changed in those couple of hours. Do you feel that possibly Aaftab pressurized her and that's why she wanted to take the complaint back? More importantly, also you said something very crucial. You said as far as the mannerism of Aaftab was concerned, he was not just consuming drugs, but selling drugs as well. Is that correct?
There was one statement which I particularly remember, and it is verbatim to what she told me. She clearly said she has one of the videos in her phone that is a escape route if anything goes wrong. And Shraddha knew long back that something wrong is going to happen to her, and that is why she had most of the evidences of his drug peddling, which he used to sell the drugs. And I do not know the terminology, but she used to tell me he used to make brownies and sell them. And late night, say at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, people used to come home to collect drugs.
What I'm essentially trying to understand is, from this episode which happened in 2020, when was the last time you spoke to Shraddha? And at that time also, did she tell you about a similar physical abuse?
Post November, we again got in touch multiple times, but then she was happy-go-lucky. She never complained, but on and off, there were a couple of updates that she used to give me. She moved on to another company where she was pretty much doing well. She got promoted. She was even planning for a personal trip, solo trip, which she used to like to do. She wanted to plan to go to Nepal. So I told her, if you want the company, I might even want to join you. Okay. But that was not concrete. She was just, as in roughly jotting it down. And over and above to that, she also told me that Aaftab was trying to tell her that they both will be shifted to Dubai. And Aaftab is the one who planned the Dubai trip. So I asked her, will it be on work basis? Are you trying to settle down? And she told me, yes, Aaftab wants to settle down over there and he doesn't have a passport. He'll be applying for one soon. And I told her, I had given her a hint that today, being in the city, you are in Mumbai, your family is just around the corner. Today you are not receiving help. Tomorrow you go to another city, another state, another country. Do you think you will be able to approach or escape this situation again? And she said now things are better and he is mentally doing well because he was earning at that point in time. Alright. And after that, I think, say, the last conversation I had in 2021 only, the first quarter, I guess.
2021.
That was the last interaction of me with her.
2021 is what you're saying. You had your last conversation with her. Little did any of us think that that could possibly, this is this kind of story that we would be discussing today. But Godwin, we really appreciate you taking our time and joining us here on CNN News 18. I also now want to bring in other guests to really understand what is the kind of pattern that is emerging. Can Aaftab really be trusted? And what is the kind of evidence that the police now needs to get their hands on to nail Aaftab? We have the former DGP of Uttar Pradesh, Arvind Kumar Jain. We also have a forensic expert, Dr. Dinesh Rao. Gentlemen, good to have both of you on the broadcast with us. Arvind Jain, I want to begin the conversation with you. How do you read the developments over the last couple of days? The only thing that the police is currently working with is a confession, which is not going to hold in the court of law. But even that so-called confession by Aaftab is changing with each passing day. So who is to believe that once he said was 35 parts, now 16, the location he identified was the Mehrauli forest. But can Aaftab really be trusted now?
No, Aaftab can never be trusted. He is a very dicey character. He is a psychic case and he should never be trusted by police. And I think a narco test is the best thing to bring the truth out of him. And a narco test might not be legally tenable in a court of law, but so many things can come out during this test. And it might lead to recovery of the head of Shraddha, mobile phone, murder weapon, and so many other things. So, but I tell you that police is not banking on confessions of Aaftab. They are independently collecting evidence. Hats off to CNN 18 and other channels who are also examining the witnesses, requesting them to come forward. These are very crucial evidences which I was listening to just now of Mr. Godwin and Doctor. And if they depose before the court of law, they are independent witnesses. They have to be trusted. And they are independent witnesses. The police report which was filed in her case, that will be very, very, very crucial evidence. And if police can lay their hands on for more evidence of his drug addiction, selling, peddling drugs, and so many evidences will come forward. The entire country is shocked. And whosoever is aware of any development, I think they will come forward. I request them. They should depose before the police. They should depose before the court, and he will be hanged. He will be hanged by court of law.
Dr. Dinesh Rao, I want to bring you in. The one worry that seems to be becoming a big headache for investigating agencies also is that what is this real evidence that can prove the case against Aaftab? We still have no clarity as far as motive is concerned. The murder weapon still hasn't been found. The few bones that have been picked up, it's going to be a while before, you can have them checked with the DNA that has been taken with Shraddha's father. Not too many blood stains also have been found at the residence. What do you make of the evidence at hand, whatever little is? And don't you think that time is now running out?
See, one thing apart from the evidences, that is the bones which has been recovered or the blood samples recovered from the primary crime scene and the secondary crime scene. See, other one, I think the doctor has made a statement that there were some injuries, that is before her death. That also will be a very good evidence, because only one thing which I can't understand is actually it's the duty of the doctor to report to the police whenever there is an injury on like this. But definitely there were none, as per my examination goes, with the photographs are concerned on the injuries, they are non-accidental. That means that is most likely an assault, and it was blunt force, and the injury on the angle of, that is the root of the neck, root of the nose, that definitely there is a scar which amounts to a grievous injury, because it amounts to disfiguration of the face, and it was his duty to report to the police. That is number one. And the second thing is, because that will help in this case, because earlier she was assaulted and there were grievous injury on her. And the second part is, these bones, see, bones, but not only the DNA, see the way the bones have been cut, means is it by a saw or a knife or a scalpel, because there are different methods, or is it by a electric saw. So it depends on what type of weapon, can be easily concluded on the cut ends of the bones. That is most important thing. And the second thing is, the cut ends of the bone also speak about that if Shraddha was alive before, that means before this cutting took place. That means not after death or before death. That also can be concluded by the cut ends of the bone, which gives a very good clue to us. So that is one important conclusions we can draw out of it. And above all these things, even on the bones, if whichever the skull, for example, if the skull has been retrieved, if there are some injuries on the skull, antemortem injuries, which are likely to be fatal.
Okay.
And that clearly indicates it to be inconsistent with the statement that he throttled. See, possibility of blunt force or sharp force injuries on the skull, if it exists, and if they are antemortem in nature, that means he killed her and then he tried to mutilate the body.
Sure.
So that will become, yes, this is what all things can be inferred just by the examination of the bones, and definitely the soft tissues can never be found, because it will be decomposed, or the area from where it is true, the animals might have eaten away. And all these conclusions, and above all those things, the
two crucial points that you're making, and I agree with you, because it's been 6 months on since the murder happened, and the crime scene was open to all till a few days ago. But Arvind Kumar Jain, I want to bring you back in the conversation. The other question that is now being raised by many is that how do you in fact prove that Shraddha used to be in that same residence where Aaftab in fact murdered her? Because I spoke to a lot of neighbors, nobody remembers seeing Shraddha, because it was just 2 or 3 days that they had actually moved to that residence, and after that she was murdered. Not too many blood stains that have been found at the residence. We don't know how long it will take for the bones to match up as well. So isn't that going to be the first big hurdle for the agencies to prove that Shraddha in fact used to live at that residence?
No, it can be proved. If DNA sampling is done of the blood stains in the fridge, body parts were kept there, they will definitely match with her father, and that will be a conclusive proof. And if forensic examination is done carefully of the flat, entire flat, he might have washed it, he might have used formaldehyde to erase the stains, but still a lot of evidence can be retrieved from that house. Naturally, because he had planned this murder a long time back, and that's why after only 3 days he got rid of her and started throwing the pieces. In my opinion, he took up residence in Chhatarpur because it is close to Mehrauli jungle, and he had this planning that he will throw away the pieces in Mehrauli jungle one by one. So evidences will naturally come. Once he has taken the house on rent, even she must have signed it. And the owner of the house will depose before the police that both of them used to stay there, and they had come, because every person makes an inquiry and they have to report this to police also if they get new tenants. So it will be proved. I don't think it is going to be an issue at all.
Dr. Dinesh Roy, I also want to understand the other aspect, which is as far as the narco test is concerned. Now, a jury is divided whether it's a very quote-unquote legal or an authentic form of trying to get evidence. In your opinion, will a narco test really help this investigation?
No, definitely. The cases like these are the ones which are indicated for narco analysis. The reason being is, see, narco analysis, though it may not be a conclusive evidence or a procedure, but definitely it may corroborate. For example, now the skull is not recovered, weapons are not recovered, and if these statement made under narco analysis, and if the skull is recovered, weapon is recovered, that will be a classic authentication of the narco analysis procedure itself and the corroboration. So this is how the investigation helps. It's not necessarily the court has to consider or authenticate the procedure, but the outcome of the procedure, there is a recovery, and that recovery is a valid evidence which is corroborating and is consistent with the statement or this thing or other parties in the narco analysis statement. The statement made when he was with the police and the statement made under narcosis, they both also will be compared. And see, and also the investigator officer can draw a lot of conclusions on those statements. So these are the greatest advantage in a criminal like this who changes his statements, who is not be believed, and it will be very much obvious that he is concealing so many things. And even the earlier interviews I have discussions, I had indicated that the behavior of this individual is not only a psychopath, but is also is into substance abuse. And now Shraddha's friend has clearly stated indeed he was a drug peddler. Because this we have seen in a lot of murders where we have seen the criminals' behavior, which is clearly matching with substance abuse. So now he says, I thought he was consuming, but his friend says that
he was peddling as well. So Arvind Jain, that entire debate around was this in a moment of fit of rage, that doesn't hold true anymore. Look at the testimonies that are now coming to light from friends, that picture that has emerged of Shraddha 2020, conversations that she had with her then manager, asked for help. So there was a pattern of constant physical abuse which led to eventual death.
Correct.
Yeah. Yes, you are absolutely correct. I have told so many times that it's a premeditated murder. He had planned it long time back, and he did it. He cut her into pieces in that flat only, and evidences will come forward. And as far as I think, I'm very hopeful that many people will come forward and give evidence in this case. Even if they are put to some inconvenience, they have to go to court, but they must depose. They must depose in the interest of justice against such a butcher. And he should be taught a lesson by the society.
True. And that really is the hope, that there will be some closure, there will be some justice, not just for Shraddha, but for her family as well. Leaving that conversation there, I appreciate both our guests taking our